Welcome to ARIRANG News. I'm Sean Lim, and this is a special holiday edition of the broadcast. Hope you're enjoying the early Memorial Day weekend. Well, Koreans today honored and commemorated the country's patriotic martyrs and fallen heroes. We start with our Kim Hyun-bin, who takes us to the scene of the National Memorial Day ceremony here in Seoul.
In April 1956, 3 years after the end of the Korean War, the South Korean government officially declared June 6 a national memorial holiday. It will become a day to pay tribute to the hundreds of thousands of South Koreans who died during the Korean War and other major battles and conflicts. The National Cemetery is the final resting place for over 172,000 fallen heroes.
Memorial Day is intended to pay respect to those who served as independence fighters during Japanese imperialism and the brave souls that lost their lives fighting to protect our freedoms during the Korean War. It's a day for friends and relatives of the deceased. It also gives us a chance to look back and reflect on our wrongdoings.
Friday marks the 59th Memorial Day to be observed in Korea. Thousands of people, both young and old, gathered at the Seoul National Cemetery to pay tribute to the nation's fallen. At 10 a.m. sharp, a siren sounds throughout the nation with a 21-gun salute. This is a signal to begin a moment of silence, to pay tribute to all those who have lost their lives fighting for Korea's freedom.
I hope my daughter is as proud of her grandfather as she is of me.
To give further recognition to war veterans, President Park Geun-hye appointed 5 men that fought fiercely during the Korean War as men of national merit. Kim Hyun-bin, ARIRANG News.
And in the president's Memorial Day speech, President Park emphasized denuclearizing North Korea while also stressing social and economic reforms here at home. Chae Yu-sun has the details.
With the threat of a fourth North Korean nuclear test lingering, President Park Geun-hye urged the leadership in Pyongyang to give up its nuclear development program.
북한 정권이 진정으로 경제 발전과 국민들의 삶의 향상을 원한다면 핵 개발과 도발 위협부터 내려놓아야 합니다.
At a ceremony to remember and thank Korean war veterans and patriots, President Park said she hopes the North will redirect its focus from nuclear development to reviving its economy through international aid and bringing its people out of destitution. The South Korean president then said peace and unification on the Korean peninsula would bring happiness and prosperity to all Korean people. President Park also addressed social irregularities and corruption that have been blamed for the recent ferry disaster in the South.
앞으로 우리 사회 구석구석에 뿌리 깊은 적폐를 해소하지 않고는 국민 안전은 물론 경제 부흥도 국민 행복도 이루기 어려울 것입니다.
The president reiterated her determination to carry out sweeping reforms in the public sector and to revamp the national safety management system. President Park then pledged to push forward with her 3-year economic innovation plan to reignite the recovery and support the Korean economy to take another leap forward. Marking the significance of Memorial Day, the president also promised to make sure all of the Korean War veterans will get the recognition and respect they deserve by being conferred a national merit. Chae Yu-sun, ARIRANG News.
North Korea reported today that it had arrested a U.S. tourist back in April, claiming that the man violated the country's laws. The arrest marks the 3rd American currently detained in the secretive state. Our Yu Lian has more.
North Korea announced that it detained a man named Jeffrey Edward Fowl, who is being investigated for carrying out acts it deems as inappropriate for a tourist. Pyongyang state-run Korean Central News Agency reported the arrest on Friday, adding that he had entered North Korea earlier on April 29th. Japanese news agency Kyodo, citing diplomatic sources, reported that he was arrested about 2 weeks after his arrival for leaving a Bible at a hotel that he was staying at. The U.S. State Department has yet to confirm the report, but if confirmed, it means there is now a total of 3 Americans held in custody by the regime. The 2 others include another U.S. tourist, Matthew Todd Miller, who was arrested back in April. North Korea claims Miller demanded asylum in the communist state. The other is Kenneth Bae, who has been jailed since November 2012 and sentenced to 15 years of hard labor under charges of trying to overthrow the government. Pyongyang has rejected visits by U.S. Special Envoy for North Korean human rights issues Robert King to discuss Bae's case. Yurian, ARIRANG News.
3 crew members of a North Korean cargo ship may face 8 years in jail in Panama for charges of shipping weapons from Cuba. According to the Voice of America, prosecutors in the Central American nation want the captain and 2 other crew to face jail time for illegal arms trading. Last year in July, authorities in Panama discovered Soviet-era fighter aircraft, missiles, and weapons underneath sacks of sugar in the North Korean freighter Cheongcheongang. In February, 32 other crew members were released without charges. A report to the UN Security Council claims the shipment violates sanctions on the isolated regime. Another body has been recovered from the sunken Sewol-ho ferry, raising the death toll to 290, while 14 remain unaccounted for. The 60-year-old male crew member, identified by his surname Kim, was found at the front of the 3rd deck early Friday, according to the government's joint rescue team. He was reportedly injured when the ferry suddenly listed and was last seen lying on the floor by several crew members who left him behind as they rushed to the deck along with the captain to wait for emergency rescuers. The captain and 14 crew members face criminal charges, including murder, in connection to April's ferry sinking. Their first court hearing is scheduled for next Tuesday. 3 U.S. senators have formally asked President Barack Obama to step up efforts to help resolve the issue of Japan's sexual enslavement of Korean and other Asian women during World War II. Tim Johnson, Martin Heinrich, and Mark Begich sent a letter carrying the message to the White House earlier this week, taking note of President Obama's comments during his trip to Asia in April, where he described Japan's sexual slavery issue as a terrible and egregious violation of human rights. The senators added that resolving the controversial matter will be key to building closer ties with Korea and Japan, especially as the U.S. tries to rebalance towards the Asia-Pacific region. As Korea celebrates Memorial Day, many around the world honored the 70th anniversary of D-Day, the pivotal naval landing in World War II that helped turn the tide of the war against Nazi Germany. And on this day, China took the opportunity to ask Japan to face up to its own history and take cues from Germany's path of reestablishing regional trust and allies by owning up to its wartime atrocities. Hong Lei, China's foreign ministry spokesman, noted Germany's sincerity of repentance over its history and contrasted it with Japan's continual efforts to rewrite the historical record. The United States says Chinese military spending exceeded $145 billion last year. That's about a fifth higher than the $120 billion Beijing claimed it stood at. The Pentagon on Thursday announced its estimate based on 2013 prices and exchange rates, adding that China has spent more money to modernize its arsenal of drones, warships, jets, missiles, and cyber weapons. China's defense ministry denied the report through a statement posted on its website and called out the United States for exaggerating its military threat. Well, after kicking Russia out of the Rich Nations Club and renaming themselves the G7, leaders of the group want President Vladimir Putin to personally resolve the crisis in eastern Ukraine. And according to U.S. President Barack Obama and UK Prime Minister David Cameron, the first step begins with Moscow's recognition of Ukraine's new president. Cameron urged for de-escalation. Meanwhile, Obama warned of additional sanctions against Russia should the situation not improve. According to reports, fighting continues along the Ukraine-Russia border. A 19-year-old man was shot dead at a religious university in Seattle, Washington, in the United States in the middle of the afternoon on Thursday at Seattle Pacific University. 26-year-old Aaron R. Ybarra confronted 3 people and started shooting in the university's Science, Math, and Engineering building. Aside from the dead victim, 2 others remain wounded, including a 20-year-old woman in critical condition and a 24-year-old man in stable condition, according to the local police captain. Ybarra has been taken to the county jail and charged with homicide. Bail has been denied. Well, it certainly has been an ideal summer-like day here in Seoul, but now let's get a check on weather conditions around the world. That does it for this edition of ARIRANG News. I'm Sean Lim. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the holiday. We'll see you soon.